Hello, all my loyal followers and supporters of the movement. I'm sorry that this video is approximately 14 hours late. I had set this up, I had scheduled this live stream. I'm 14 hours late for it. Fortunately, I had it set to private, so nobody noticed that it was running for that long. So I'm sorry that I'm late for it, but important things came up. I just got up now, so I was able to do this stream. So I thought it was time to address all these accusations that people are throwing against me, and to just state once and for all, I don't care what these people have to say about me. I don't care. Okay, so that's the beginning. Now, before we get into this stream, I just like to say a couple of things. Firstly, I'm Catholic, and my religion doesn't allow me to lie, particularly in a serious context, particularly about things to do with God, that sort of things, where I'm not allowed to lie about that kind of stuff. Because I'm the leader of a traditional Catholic movement. And I just like to say that. I'd also like to talk about the purpose of irony. So, the purpose of irony is it allows me to say whatever I want and not be responsible for it. So, I can say my actual opinion, but then I can go on and say it was just irony, bro, and absolutely none of it counts. So that's how irony works. How irony works is anyone who agrees with me, it's serious. Anyone who disagrees with me, it's irony. So I just like to start off by saying that. So there's these people who have been like slandering me, and how how the slander works against me is what they do is they take unedited clips of my content and they play them. So I'll have a half hour long video and they'll play the half hour long video without the context of the rest of the channel. It's taking it out of context to play the whole thing. In fact, if they were going to go and only play part of it, that would be okay. But to play the entire unedited clip is most definitely a form of slander. So I just wanted to start off with that. So there's been these people who have been making fun of me and they've been saying all kinds of mean stuff. And I just wanted to say that these people um, these people don't matter to me. I don't care about them. They don't matter to me. I don't even know who these people are. And I'm not lying when I say that. So I'm doing a stream. This stream will probably go on for maybe 5 or 6 hours. And in this stream, I'm going to explain to you how not mad I am. I'm going to explain to you how, like, I don't care about these people. And I'm going to do as many streams of this as it takes until people realize that they're not angry, that I'm not angry about it. I think that is the best way to show it. And there's nothing dishonest, there's nothing lying about me saying that I don't care about this while doing 5 hour long cope streams. Isn't that right, Rain? Rain's just kind of sleeping by the window. She doesn't care about any of this. I've been trying to protect her from this. She is my cat girl. I, can you call a female cat a cat girl? It's an interesting question. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the part one of this. Is that um, okay? So let's start to talk about the various allegations against me. So the first allegation is that I'm bad optics. And I think I'm the best optics possible. You see, I am going to be Genghis Khan 2 through 20 when I take power. I am going to make a pile of corpses the likes of which the world has never seen. I'm going to kill hundreds of millions of people. And that's good optics because that's just irony, bro. That's just irony, bro. I'd also like to say that um, let me think. What else can I talk about? What else have people been saying about me? Um, they've also been saying that, yes, they say that that's bad optics. I don't think it's bad optics. I think if you go to the average conservative, the average like Christian, and you say to them, look, guys, Genghis Khan was based. He was like a Tengriist or something that's kind of like Christianity. Um, he slaughtered tens of millions of people. I think that that is something that's going to appeal to them. And this brings us to the whole issue of the woman question. Because I'm the person who invented the woman question. Prior to this, the conservative movement had this idea about traditional gender roles and traditional marriage and people having families together. But I decided that I was going to question that. I decided that um, I was going to overturn that because the reality of the situation is it's false consciousness on the part of conservatives. When they say they want to get married and have girlfriends and have wives and that sort of thing, it's just false consciousness. What we need to do, and I've discussed this in the past, is we need to defeat the left by joining them in terms of the woman question. So we need to pursue artificial womb transplants. So what we can do is we can take members of the movement, like fellow gamers, people who like Minecraft, people who like anime, and we can make them into trans women who are capable of bearing children. So I've been thinking about it, and if we use the biblical definition that women are able to bear children and men are the ones who are able to sow their seed in a woman's womb, then I think this is consistent with traditional Catholicism. So we can take these base trannies who can bear children, and that's how we're going to do it. That's how we can have an all male movement that completely shuns women, and we will still be able to continue on the race. So I think that's something that's going to appeal to the vast majority of conservatives. It's going to take a while to convince men to leave their wives, but it's just something we can't permit because throughout all of human history, traditional societies are based on the idea that men don't love their women. They beat them up and they use them as baby factories. Um, that is the traditional, not the liberal interpretation of pre-modern history. So I think we're going to have to do that. And I think once we do that, that's going to get traditional conservatives on our side. Okay, so that's part one of the plan. As someone's pointing out in the chat, there's the cat boy question. I mean, that's what this is eventually going to come on to. We're going to be able to produce cat boys who can have offspring. And that's how we're going to resolve this issue. Now, I posted a 20-page manifesto explaining the cat boy question, explaining my thoughts on it. But I just want to say now that this whole thing was irony. I don't actually support that. You can read my 20-page position paper with over 400 citations about how this is something that's necessary, but it's just irony. It's just irony. I'm not serious about it. The truth of the matter is, that's it. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. The next thing I wanted to talk about is my interpersonal relationships. Now, the movement has been having a lot of trouble lately. A lot of people have been running away from me. Uh, Serp Serp has been going and he's been snaking on me. You see, what wound up happening is I told Serp that I was going to start this movement and I needed him to do some work for me. And I said that I'd pay him $10 an hour to do some research for me and to do some accounting work for me. And he did it. And at the end of it, after he'd done about 1,000 hours, he's like, can I get paid for it? I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay you because I'm broke. Because I received one a $10 million Dogecoin donation and it got stolen by the Royal Mounted Police. The Royal Mounted Police came to my house in full red uniforms and they stole the Dogecoins off of my computer. So I told him, look, dude, I can't pay you. So you're just going to have done this work for free. And then he's like, okay, I guess. So then I did a stream where I said that Serp was an ungrateful piece of shit because he asked to be paid after I promised him to be paid. And he complained about it. He complained about it and he was a massive piece of shit. So I said that, and then I went through and I exposed a bunch of like stuff about his past. I talked about his parents. I talked about his relationships in college. I talked about how he was a disloyal snake. And then he said, look, Argent, I want to leave the movement. You're being a massive dick to me. Let's handle this on the down low. Let's handle this classy. I'm going to make a tweet. And I'm just going to say I've left the movement, and that's that. And I said, okay. So he did that, but he worded the tweet, I'm leaving the movement because I have personal issues with some of the members. And that was going too far. That was slighting me. That was fucking slighting me, and that was an insult. That was an insult to all of these people who went out and did that kind of stuff. So I decided I was going to do a week worth of streams just going after Serp. And then Serp went out and he spilled some of my dirty laundry. And that was just unacceptable. There was no reason for him to do that. He is the most foul traitor. So he spilled a bunch of stuff. He said, look, Argent didn't actually get the Dogecoin seized by the RCMP. He actually traded the Dogecoin for Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin went up. So he actually has about $20 million worth of Bitcoin. And he could have easily afforded to pay me, but he just didn't want to. So he said that I was claiming that I was on the no drive list, that I wasn't allowed to drive a car, that my license had been revoked, and that I was also banned from Uber. So I had to walk everywhere. So the truth of the matter is that that's a lie. That never happened. But even if it had have happened, and even if it was true, there was no reason for him to say that. He should not have said that. He should not have said that. And I was not on the no drive list. I was on the no car list. So I was technically able to drive like a tractor, but I wasn't able to drive a car. So that's just kind of how it was. And so he was saying that. He was saying I was under RCMP investigation and all this other stuff. And it was dishonest. I wasn't under RCMP investigation. I was under Ontario Police investigation. There's a very big difference there. So that's kind of part one of this whole thing. Now then. Let's see what's in the chat. Walk everywhere 2 miles at a time. Yeah, I was having to walk to events, like to meetups in Winnipeg, meetups in Regina, meetups in Halifax, and I had to walk all the way there. Um, I kind of wanted to get a horse, but I don't know. I just figured that that would be too much effort. That would be too much effort, and that would be too difficult to do. Let's look at the chat and say what they're saying. I get most of this is irony, but that's not what happened. I think most of this is what happened. I'm not really sure. I'm exaggerating a bit just because this is, for those of you who don't know Breaking Character for a second, um, Nick never actually stated his money problems initially. Patrick did that a year ago. No, but he did. If you go and you look at the timeline, okay, I'm getting off topic for a minute, but he did say they took all my money. My bank account was frozen immediately after AFPAC, and after. Okay, so we'll just break because I think I've done enough of the jokes for a minute. Okay, so what wound up happening with AFPAC, and maybe I'll just kind of go through the America First drama, because I was meaning to do a video on that, so maybe I'll just separate this into two parts. So let's just kind of go through the America First thing. So my understanding behind America First was the idea was to take kind of the best aspects of the alt-right and merge it with kind of the best aspects of the paleo-conservative movement and the more right-wing faction of the GOP and the Trump populists. The idea was to take some of the talking points about race, law and order, just anti-liberal positions, anti-neocon positions, that sort of thing, and mix it with kind of populism and American nationalism and create kind of a version of the alt-right that was more palatable, that didn't have retarded shit like waving swastikas around, didn't have a lot of just the really gay stuff, the anarcho-primitivist stuff, the neo-pagan stuff, the anti-Christian stuff. It was to kind of create a synthesis. And that was kind of the whole idea of the optics war, was they were going to destroy neocons through Groyper War, but then they were also going to try to take down and purge the alt-right. And I think the initial idea was America First was going to become a serious political organization. And the serious political organization, I think the idea was that they were going to build up a network of donors and contacts, and they were going to use their organization to help more right-winged, more populist, more, I guess what we'd call base candidates to win primaries and win general elections. And that by doing this, they would network with some of the GOP, like Gosar was going to be it, like an example of that, and they'd be able to influence legislation. Because really all you need at the core is a couple people who are able to propose amendments to legislation or to propose new legislation. Also, if they could crowdfund enough money, they could start running like America First ads, stuff like that. And the idea was maybe eventually get some supporters of America First into government positions. Maybe they could get some, like if they get some of these politicians on their side, they could maybe get them to nominate judges or to basically just do other things that would help the movement. So that was, I think, the initial plan. And to be honest, I actually thought it was a good idea. Because I think one of the issues with kind of NRX and the alt-right was there wasn't that much in the way of IRL activism. And as I said, I think by trying to build this broad but still further right than the GOP, you could get like boomers to come out and protest stuff, and you could shift the narrative somewhat. So even if this isn't a solution for all of the problems, it was actually a solution, and it was actually people trying to do something. Now, what happened was, and why this whole thing became a clusterfuck, was the whole optics thing just went out the window pretty early on. And part of that is Nick just recruits like the most shitty, retarded, retarded people to surround him. Like he got Baked Alaska, who's a convicted criminal, an ex-rapper who sold out the alt-right to become a Yang Gang. Does anyone remember the Yang Gang rap, where he briefly left the alt-right and decided that he was going to go on and try to join Antifa? And I remember for my part when I really, because I was initially not a member of AF, but I supported them because I thought a lot of their ideas were good. I also supported them because they were explicitly Christian. And I get that it was pandering now. And if we're to believe Jaden, Nick never goes to Mass, but um, I do like the Christ is King chants because I don't think any right wing movement in the West can succeed without being explicitly Christian. And I think it has to be explicitly Christian. So there's that kind of thing. So there was that aspect of it. And then you had like Baked Alaska, who would go around and pepper spray people and harass minimum wage workers. And Nick defended all of that, and he said it was based and red pilled and stuff like that. And I mean, once again, all this stuff is out there. People have made compilations to show all of this. It's just kind of the way that it is. So there was Baked Alaska. There was Beardson, who did like his racial draft. He did like his hour-long things about the incel question and stuff like that. I mean, if you just kind of go through all of the people around Nick. And also there's the issue where it's like there's Patrick Casey, there's all these Jaden, there's all these other people who are like the number 2 or 3 in the movement. And somehow they all snaked on him in similar ways. And somehow they all said similar stuff about him. And yet he it's somehow like it just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. They all somehow snaked on him, and this in no way shows poor judgment. Because I think one of the aspects of being a leader of something is that you have to be able to pick people who are loyal to you and to pick people who are able to like do the job. And I kind of found what happened over time is they got rid of a lot of the people like CWC or Patrick Casey who were like professional and replaced them with like Beardson and Ethan Ralph and Baked Alaska and just a lot of the Sussy squad and a lot of these just kind of like weirdos. So they kind of did that. And I think to me, when I actually kind of, other than Nick just defending Baked Alaska, assaulting random minimum wage workers, I think to me what really made me dislike the whole, really kind of break with America First was the whole Patrick Casey thing. So what happened with the whole Patrick Casey thing was, so Patrick Casey said he wasn't going to go to AFPAC 2. And initially, from my understanding, because I was following this at the time, he just said he wasn't going. But then Beardson just started attacking him constantly. And Nick said to him, and I've seen the clip of Nick saying this, you're going to have to explain why you're not going to AFPAC. And Patrick Casey said 3 things. He said, I'm not under... Nick's on the no-fly list. Nick's not under, is under FBI investigation, and his bank account's frozen. And then, like, he went on the Ralph retort, and he's like, okay, I don't know if I'm on the no-fly list or not, but they took away my TSA pre-check screening. So it's a lie. Even though that happened, it's still a massive lie. Then he said his bank account was frozen. And like when Nick went on the Ralph retort, he said that's a half truth. So his bank account was like half frozen. So I don't know how your bank account can be half frozen. maybe like one of the bank accounts was half frozen. And then he was under investigation by the FBI. And Nick was like, that's a lie, I'm not, except that MSNBC reported I was under investigation. And he said, like, a friend of his who worked in the intelligence agency was under investigation. And stuff like that. So basically, he kind of admitted that Patrick Casey was more or less right about everything. Um, and immediately after AFPAC, all that stuff came out. All that stuff came out, and it became a mess. Um, you know what? I might just cancel this because I don't think I'm doing a very good job of it. So I might just end the stream here